Happy Mother's Day weekend, Draft Drafters. It's Dan, it's JP, and it is 10:46 in the morning, so this is not a beer.
I'm on round two of a little coffee.
There you go. Well, we will have plenty to talk about when we get to that point because both of us have been having some fun with some other beverages when we get there. But first off, happy Mother's Day to all the moms, the grandmas, the soon-to-be moms. I mean, hey, even your wife, the dog mom, right? I refuse to put cat moms in that category personally because I just don't think cats actually think of you as a parent. I think dogs do, but cats, no. Personal preference. But
I like
Zephyr
them,
Zala,
but I agree
definitely
with you.
appreciate
They're
Mom.
a little, I don't know, they're selfish animals.
No, they're yeah. With this, and again, this is we just lost like a bunch of the casual listeners who love cats. But all we're saying
cats.
is, well, cats love me too, but I
Yeah.
just don't think they treat me like they don't look at me as a parent.
Yeah.
They look at me as a servant.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Dogs, on the other hand, I believe, look at us like like fam, right? So, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there who qualifies for that distinction. But we're not here to talk about moms. We're here to talk about the East and the West of the AFC, dude. Last time out, we went through the North and the South, and I think Cleveland is the leader in the clubhouse so far.
Cleveland and Indy.
Divisions.
Those ones are tight.
Right. Yeah, and again, Indy's the debate, and we'll have this debate probably today a little bit too. Is do you get more credit for squeezing blood from a stone, so to speak? Do you get more credit if you got better picks, even though you didn't have as many picks, or do you get more credit for just having a great draft where you got more overall quality than somebody else who may have had more quality per pick versus overall quality? So that's kind of that's the debate we can have as we go through all this. But why don't we start off in the Northeast with your beloved Patriots, who are going through some things right now, man.
The Patriots will be fine. You leave them alone. I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, but I'm happy with their draft, but damn, they could have done so much better. I'm only happy with just because of the first two picks. So let's get into it here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, first pick in the 28th overall here, they got Caleb Lomu, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I know they traded up.
They did nudge up for him, but not by much.
They gave up 31 in a fourth round to go to 28. But, dude, I've been saying the whole time, I really want another tackle. Part of it's because I'm not convinced Will Campbell can play left tackle. I think he could play right tackle. I think he'd be a phenomenal guard. Sure. But either way, even if I think Will Campbell's staying at left tackle, they're set there. I get it. But eventually they're going to need a right tackle too. So either way, I like it. I love, and he was in the same tier as like all the other tackles too. So with the exception of maybe his running mate at Utah there with Fano. But anyhow, then we get to the doozy here, and they moved up again. So I was fine with both of these move ups, but dude, they got Gabe Akis at 55 when I had him as he was a top 16. I had him as 12. Did not have a first round grade on him, but I had him as my 12th overall player. So this was borderline an S. I just gave it as A plus. I couldn't do it an S despite being a plus 43, just because you gave up 63, 131, and 202 to go to 55. Still love it. Don't care. A plus. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
And with that pick, by the way, I was trying to, because one of the things that I want to do, because we talked about this while we weren't doing the show, about we can't necessarily go through and say who we would have picked every time, but would we have picked a different player even just at that position group? And here's the thing.
Those two, I would have
exactly.
done that too.
Those first two picks, there's no one else that would have been a better pick for them to take at those two spots. So those are two move-ups that totally made sense when you look at how things were playing out on the draft board.
I'm glad you highlighted that, because the entirety of the rest of their draft, I would have made a different pick. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's just motor through it. So now we're in the third round. They take Eli Reardon. He, if it weren't for the injury history, he would have been my guy at tight end for just pure intrigue, right? But I had a fifth round grade on him. So that's an F. Then you go to the fifth round, and they got, because they're missing some picks to do the trade ups, totally fine. But then they get a guy ahead as a UDFA and Kayron Prunty, cornerback from Wake Forest. I gave it a D minus.
Let's remind everybody again, that was the first name you had to add to the list.
It was.
You usually have a very extensive list.
Well,
and just
when
for a second with Prunty.
I had 5 that I had to add, I think. Sorry.
Sure, but just for a second, when you get to Prunty and you look at amount again, it was the fifth round, so you can't kill them on the pick
No.
because it's the fifth round. But Hezekiah Massis was still there, Damani Jackson was still there, T.J. Hall, Toriano Pride, even the safeties, Spears Jennings, V.J. Payne, all of Miles Scott. There were a lot of guys that could have taken that we valued ahead of a guy we didn't even have on our list.
Yep. Then you get to the sixth round here. Despite them getting value, they took Demetrius Crown over. I had a fifth round grade on him. So that was an A pick. It was a plus 64. Yeah. It's just probably not what I would have done. Seems how you already went tackle anyways, and he's a 25-year-old tackle. But, well, he will be 25, like probably week 1 or something like that. So, but I'm fine with that pick. Then we go to another UDFA, Nnamdi Obaizor from TCU. Gave that one a D. It was plus 45. Again, you can't get an F down here. They got Baron Morton in the seventh. But again,
real quick, just to remind everybody, instead of Obaizor, they could have had Red Murdoch.
Yeah,
first
and you
of
can
many
say
Red
that
Murdoch
for
references.
Every single pick after this. So,
or I'll leave it in the linebackers. But every time you talk about a linebacker going, in the especially day 3, could have been Red.
And then they got Baron Morton. I'm fine with this pick too. I gave it a B-. I mean, he's an older quarterback here in the 7th round, and sometimes he's taking shots at quarterbacks is this good business to me. And it was a plus 33.
The only other quarterback that got drafted was Nussie after him.
Yeah.
So fair.
Either way. Then they took a shot on Jam Miller. I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, I had him as a UDFA, but again, we're in the 7th round, so that's just like a round off. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And then the last pick I was actually happy with, even though I had him as a UDFA, Quintavious Hutchins, kind of a local guy there for them, if you will, from Boston College, edge rusher. I mean, he was just a guy that I was mildly curious about as a UDFA anyways. If I did like a top 12 pack of my UDFAs, he was probably in it. Right. You know what I mean? So I want to see. I was okay with it. But man, those first 2 picks, they absolutely killed it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt. I actually gave him a little bit better grades in the back end for the 7th round. I gave him like a bunch of Bs, B-. But overall, it's a good but not great draft with missed opportunities. I totally agree with you on that, man. I mean, it's unfortunate.
It could have been a stellar draft. Like they could have been in contention for the best draft after the first 2 picks, because literally, like the first couple picks are what sets the that sets the floor, is what I should say, or the tone, whatever you want to say. And they aced it. So I was like, dude, they're on a track to like destroy this draft, and then it just went off the rails to me.
Yeah, exactly, and that's unfortunate for them. But again, overall, they've got 2 guys who are going to help them right away. And again, I think I texted you 2 days after the draft or something, joking about how next year Crown Over will be the starter at right, and Lomu will be the starter at left, and then Campbell will be inside like we always knew he would.
Hey.
We'll see. Should be fun.
As long as it works out and they're good, I don't care.
Slightly embarrassing if they ends up getting booted by a 7th rounder. Who knows? Oof. Now we get to go to a team that, in my opinion, did not kill it right off the bat, but boy, do I like their draft. It's the Buffalo Bills. A lot of people have their lists out there of the teams that they thought had amazing drafts, the top 3s, et cetera, whatever.
I don't know what you're talking. I thought they killed it throughout the entire damn thing, except for this. Well, we'll do it as you go.
There's 1 or 2 that I didn't like, right? And we'll get to that in a second. But I'm setting stage for
2.
Yeah, 2. Yeah. I agree with that. But I'm setting the stage. My point is the way that the Bills attacked this draft. I don't think they're getting enough credit. I think a lot of people out
100%.
there are putting them in the middle of the pack. And I disagree with that. I think especially the value they got on day 3 is insane. Dude, so to start off.
Hold on. Let me just say this so people can kind of guess as they go. I won't say where they happen. I gave the Bills 2 S's. Okay. And I didn't hand out a lot of S's. They had 2 of them. I also gave them 2 A pluses and 2 straight A's.
Yeah.
So that's 6
overall,
picks
I think
that
you and I
crushed.
Yep. I would say you and I, again, apparently outside of the city of Buffalo, are a bit in the minority when it comes to how much we like their draft. But it started off with them looking at the board, knowing who they wanted, and saying, well, screw this. Why are we taking him here? Because they traded back with the Patriots to go to 31.
Which worked out for both teams. I give both teams credit for that.
Yep. And then they traded back with the Titans to 35. Which is funny because the Titans traded up to take Keldrick Falk, which we will not stop panning him for that for a while. But my point is, Buffalo at 35 still took an edge rusher, right? They still ended up taking
got the
TJ
same
Parker.
guy that they probably
So
would have taken.
they probably, yeah. And so they got a third and a fourth rounder that they ended up, again, they did a bunch of trading, so I'm not going to go too deep into there. But they did that and still got the guy they wanted and got draft capital for moving back twice. So great move from them. They don't have to worry about a first rounder and the paycheck that comes with that. So that's great. Now, they moved up for the next pick, and this is one of the ones that I was not as big of a fan of because I'm just not as big a fan of the player, and I don't like they moved up to get him.
I feel like I have to say this as we go now because I led with it. So TJ Parker,
Sure.
I gave an S. He was one of my 2 S's.
Okay. I actually gave him an A, not an S, personally. I gave
How
him
can
a
you
bunch
not
of S's
give him-
in day 3.
How can you not give him an S because they got a third and a fourth round pick for free with that
Sure.
the same guy?
No, I understand. I get that. And so maybe I'm being a little harsh on him. But the next one, I don't think I was too harsh at all. I did not like Davison Igbinosun.
I gave it a
in
D
the draft
minus.
process. Yeah. I gave it an F because of how far down I had him. A D minus I'm fine with because
He
they
was
did
only-
need a corner.
He was only negative 29 on mine, so that
Right.
in
He was
theory
like
he
negative 100 on
wasn't
mine.
making it back, but definitely not
Right.
the pick I would have made.
Yeah, but again, he's a bigger corner. He has some potential to be a second or third guy in your backfield. They needed help at corner, so addressing a need is always a good thing, right? And again, then you start getting into day 3. So that's all they had for. They didn't have a first day pick. They had 2 on day 2, 1 great, 1 meh. Started off day 3 with Jude Bowery. Not my favorite pick. In fact, the lowest rated of their day 3s for me. I don't know. And again, not a bad pick, but not a great. I gave it a C.
I gave that an A only because
okay.
it was a +6 on my board, but this is a good
Right, you like Bowery
opportunity.
more than me.
Well, no, this is a good opportunity for me to explain things. Like I give it an A based on where it was. In the 4th round, you can take a shot on a developmental tackle, but
Sure.
that might be all he is. And I just want people to know, like, it's okay to give an A on a pick to take the shot, but also know that he might not be anything other than a swing tackle.
Right.
But it's also, it can be an A still because
Mm-hmm.
he's never going to, like, I mean, I guess either way, like, even if he did demand a big contract someday, then that means he developed and became what you thought he
Right.
could be. I fully
Sure.
don't expect him to do that, but I just feel like he can hang around as a swing tackle or guy who can play in a pinch and play well for you, and that there's
Right.
value in that as long as you
Especially
get
in
it
the 4th round.
as long as you get it at the value. So yes, a swing tackle can be an A pick as long as it matches where he should go. And I think
So, and this is where I had an issue personally, like mentally. This was me within myself because they got a 7th round pick to move back one, right? And they took Bowery with that pick, but they could have had Jermod McCoy and taken a flyer on him without the 7th rounder, right? Which we'll talk about him later on when he goes to Vegas. So that's one of those things where opportunity cost. I would have personally gone for. I wouldn't have minded the 7th
would have
rounder
too.
done that.
But that's why I was
So-
saying, like, when I was joking with you, like, off the show, if you will. I was going to say off the air. Does that make sense?
Well, it's because everybody used to be on air with radio
I know.
shows, right? And that we're
But-
on streamers. So off the stream, that doesn't sound the
There
same,
you
you
go.
know?
No. But
All right.
that's why I was talking to you about this not on the show, and it was almost like, should we someday or maybe in an off season, like go through a draft and be like, this is what they should have done, or at least in our opinion, you know what I mean? Because like, I totally agree with you. I would have gone McCoy 100% and probably given it an S, but perfectly fine with Bowery here. Like, so it's hard to like factor in what they could have done in the grade because I'm just doing the grade based on the value of what they did, not what they could have done. And it makes me wonder because I was thinking, that's why I brought it up. Should I factor in what they could have done? You know what I mean? Because on the surface, sure, this could be an A grade for me. But if you factor in the McCoy thing, then it's like, damn, that's not getting above a B minus. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's where it gets interesting because, again, I wouldn't have taken Igbinosun with the pick before that. But would I have taken? And so that's where I don't think we can get too far into the weeds. We will do something though this offseason at the very least where we set the stage for that because you have been doing your who the Lions should have taken or who you would have taken if you were running the Lions for like a decade. So
since 2000.
Okay, 25 years. Forgive me for downplaying that. That's my point. We'll get into some of that because that could be kind of fun as a little bit of a hobby.
Granted,
I will let you,
I
though.
was a young little pipsqueak when I was doing it then, but hey.
Look, all I know is there was
I
a
also
26-year-old dude who was running the Phoenix Coyotes and somehow just got promoted or just got picked to run the Maple Leafs. So young
real
people can
quick,
try to do it.
only because you brought it up, but it's only been since so since basically we met, I think. It's only been
2009?
since 2009 that I've mocked every pick of what
All
I
right,
would
there
have
you
done. And I actually started this in 1998. I'm looking at my sheet. So from 1998
Right, with Woodson, yeah.
yeah, from 1998 to 2008, I only did the first round picks. I was young. I didn't go
Sure.
super deep into it, but I was interested. But starting in 2009, yeah, I've done the entire draft class of what I would have done.
So those of you wonder about JP's commitment to this whole thing, oh, there you go. All right, and you know what? As a little present to you, I want you to talk about the next pick that they made in the fourth round that they got off of one of those.
It's
one
an
of those
ass,
trades.
dude. It's a plus triple digit. It's plus 100. I don't care. He was my wide receiver 5 in this class. Skylar Bell, absolutely love it. I know he's a little bit older. It is what it is, but dude, every year there's always a wide receiver that I just seem to be higher on than everyone else, and I don't care. And it's one of the few positions where I just feel like somehow, some way, I end up like I get this one right. So
Sure.
maybe this will be the first one I'm wrong about. Who knows? He's got. Excuse me, I'm battling a coffee burp. He's got some competition there now too, because they're not going to give up on Coleman, nor should they. They brought in more, so they've got some weapons.
And that's a point.
There,
Like Buffalo, and this isn't just a draft thing. This is how their offseason went. Buffalo went from the question every year of what are you going to do about the wide receiver room to Moore, who was a second-round pick. So you have to look at that from that standpoint. So yes, maybe it was a bit rich to get him, but now you have a number one wide receiver for at least a couple years while you figure out if Keon Coleman can be that kind of a guy. Skylar Bell is immediately one of your better slot guys, depending on how you feel about Khalil Shakir. And I think you could even move Skylar Bell in for Josh Palmer when he inevitably gets hurt if you need to. They've got 5 wide receivers now that are competent players as long as Palmer stays healthy. And to go along with the tight ends that they've got, and they've got James Cook out of the backfield, this is all of a sudden a pretty decent unit to work with. And again, this is a team that still put up points even without having good wide receivers. Josh Allen has got to be stoked right now.
I know, and just to give a tiny backstory on this, so basically like trying to back up like how strongly I feel about Skylar Bell. Think about some of the recent draft classes, dude. Even if you go back a ways, like I was pounding the table for Stephon Diggs. Nobody liked him. I was pounding the table for Michael Thomas. Nobody liked him. Pounded the table for Debo, for Cooper Kupp. How did they were all like my wide receiver 1s in their respective classes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I mean,
Maybe
he wasn't
not
my
the
wide
typical.
receiver. He wasn't my wide receiver 1. So
No.
I guess I just
but you had him
contradicted myself. But
but you had him 5 to 10
as well.
spots ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely love this guy.
Worked out well. So to rip through the rest of their draft, though, it was all great picks, in my opinion. Caleb Elam's or linebacker that I loved. They got him in the 4th round. He was a guy that I kind of had a borderline 3-4 grade on. Jalen Kilgore was an awesome pickup for them. I personally like Kilgore almost better than Igbinosun. Personally, when you look at where I had those guys slotted in,
I
Zane
gave
Durant,
Kilgore an A+.
Yeah.
I gave Durant an A+ too.
Yeah, I gave them all S's down the rest of the way, which I realize is probably a bit of an exaggeration. I realize that the 5th and 7th rounders, but
the only reason I didn't give Kilgore an S real quick is just because that 5th round, like it's hard, it's really hard to get those. Like I gave it an A+, because Kilgore is a plus 102, so he actually in theory was better value than Skylar Bell. But we're in the 5th round, you're just taking shots now. You know what I mean?
Yep, fair. So to finish off, though, Zane Durant, undersized D tackle that we both really like as a penetrating guy. Basically, he can just sit back and learn from Ed Oliver, and they can pretty much just replace him 1-for-1 whenever they want to move on. In my opinion, I think he has that potential, and if he'll realize it. And then Toriano Pride, great shot to shoot in the 7th round, right? Not a guy I necessarily feel amazing about, but a great 7th rounder. I think both Pride and Kilgore can start ahead of Igbinosun, potentially. I don't know. I think that's just my bias against Igbinosun, but obviously
not Pride.
It gives them a different piece.
Igbinosun will be a good player if you get the last year player and not the 2 years ago player where he had penalties on every play.
And I like Armaj Reese-Adams as well, especially in the 7th round. Like, I had him as over 100-point value, too. He seemed like he got lost in the shuffle for a lot of people at guard, so maybe I missed something that other people, caught on to.
You did miss something. You did miss something.
Well, and they also had a punter in their kicker, didn't they?
239, they took the punter.
Right.
So I gave that a C.
Good, sure, fair. All right, I actually forgot to put punters because I don't have that distinction on our drop down, so I forgot to put the punters into the
I don't have
strip,
the distinction either. I just put player name P.
This is why we appreciate you, man. But overall, again, Buffalo, I think, had a great draft. Couple oopses there, but otherwise, this is going to come to that conversation of, did they do more with less draft capital than another team we're going to talk about here in a little bit? But why don't you go to Miami first before we talk about the Jets?
Miami, first round. I mean, they went and got Caden Proctor. I had him at 22, so I mean, if he was going to go on the first, he should have gone in the first. So at least they moved back and acquired some the 2 fives.
Two fives.
2 fives from Dallas. So at least they did that. I get it. He's a young, imposing, super young, big, imposing tackle, and you're rebuilding. So I ironically actually like it for this team a little bit because he is so young and there's no pressure to like get him in and do anything. Like, they're rebuilding big time. So, but again, I had him as like my bus candidate for tackles.
Sure.
So we'll see. Chris Johnson also in the first. So here's the thing, man. Chris Johnson was easily my cornerback 3, right?
Sure.
Nope.
Yeah, loved him.
I moved him to cornerback 2. Wow.
Okay. Well, yeah, admittedly
McCoy
with McCoy's
freaked me
name,
out.
so yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I had him as my cornerback 2. But I had it was only a reach by 5 picks, so not even a reach in my opinion. But damn, they gave up. They moved 30 and a third for 27 and a 4. Right. So the 30 and the 27 don't care. But man, that 4.
They dropped a round pretty much.
I dropped a full round and out of day 2.
Well, round and a half.
I gave them a D+ despite them getting my number 2 corner. Maybe I'm a little harsh. I don't know, but it was tough. It's tough, especially when you're a team that's completely rebuilding. The picks are valuable. That's a good one, though. So I think I was a little too tough. It probably should be in the C range, but whatever.
Spoiler alert. I believe Miami made 13 picks. I think 2 of these guys are ready to start today. I think they're going to start more than that because of how bad the team is. But I do not think Miami.
I think they have 5 new starters.
No, there's going to be a bunch of guys who are starting. But I think there's 2 guys that can start today, and Chris Johnson's one of the 2 of them.
Yes, the other ones right now. That's an S pick, man. They got Jacob Rodriguez at 43. That's a plus 33 grade for me. He was one of my 10 first-round grades, so there you go.
Right.
S pick.
Same.
Love it. Had to go chase him in Dynasty. Then they stay with Texas Tech here, and then the third round.
Worst pick they made.
I don't know. I got 3 Fs. So
do I, but I think he was the biggest reach.
But at least this guy had a round grade on. That's debatable. Who cares, though? They're all bad. 7th round grade on Caleb Douglas, who they took in the 3rd. That's an F. Then the next pick, UDFA, Will Kazmarek, tight end from Ohio State. I had him as UDFA. That's an F. Love this next pick. Gave it an A+. Okay, in the 3rd round. Chris Bell, perfect situation for Chris Bell too, because who cares if he's not even ready right away? This team, they can let him sit and get healthy. Absolutely love that. Then they go UDFA, Trey Moore, Texas Longhorns. He was one of the guys that although I gave it an F because it's the 4th round, I will say that 12 pack I was talking about who just missed like a 7th round grade, he was in there. He was close. So yes, the worst pick to me. Well, the worst pick's probably Kazmarek, but Douglas is next.
Right.
But yeah, you get it. So then
Miami made some
here.
reaches.
Kyle Lewis.
Let's just say that.
Here's the Kyle Lewis. This is another funny one. It reminds me of like your Duke crew that you love so much that I had to give A's to. Neither one of us were high on Kyle Lewis, right?
Mhm.
And everybody was talking about him being a second round, third round
Right.
at best, or at worst, I should say.
Mhm.
And we were like, dude, no, absolutely not. Well, you
Right.
know what? They turned around and got him all the way down at 138. And he ended up being a plus 37 value. So
Sure.
despite me not caring for the player, they got him at the spot where they add value, not even where they should have. So that's
Right.
crazy. So I had to give that an A.
See, and I
Um,
didn't give it an A, only because I still don't know what they're going to do with him and how he's going to be
uh,
used, because I still don't
they
know that
have,
he has a position.
well, they don't have any players.
No,
So,
exactly. Miami's going to put him out there. My point.
yeah,
He's another guy who
he's
will
going to
probably play
start.
meaningful. Right.
Yes,
Exactly. Again, they've got 13 players. Half of them are probably going to start meaningful minutes for this team this year, even if they shouldn't.
correct. And Michael Taffy, I had a 5th round grade on him.
Like
They
that one.
got him in the 5th round, and it was a plus 26. I gave that one an A minus, just because
Sure.
Lewis was higher because I had a 4th round grade on Lewis. Taffy was 5. Then we go where we were still in the 5th. Jeez, they had 7.
They have a lot of picks, man. Traded and
Kevin
they
Coleman
accumulated.
Jr., wide receiver, Missouri, 5th round. Gave that. I'm on a run of D's here. He was a D. Seydou Traore had a 7th round grade on. They got him in the 5th. Gave that a D. He's a tight end out of Mississippi State.
Yeah,
DJ
no, wasn't a fan.
Campbell, UDFA. He was also in my little 12 pack of just missing it, but still had to give it a D because
I had Campbell as a 5th rounder, so I actually gave that one an A.
Okay, I did know that you were a little higher on that one. And then a 7th round grade on Max Llewellyn there from Iowa. I gave it a B. It's 7th round. You take anybody from Iowa, I'm just going to give it a B. I don't know why. I've done it my whole life. I just feel like Iowa players, if you get them at values, they're going to match that value, and they got him at a value.
They're going to contribute.
So he's at the very least going to play like a 7th round pick, and you got your value. Love it.
Well, right. And again, when you talk about a team like Miami, right, who, as we said, is a team that's going to need to find bodies to fill spots. I mean, their edge rushing is Chop Robinson, and what you think about Ajabo or Uche. So the Llewellyn has a chance, and I think I'd prefer him over Trey Moore, personally. So
Yes.
Llewellyn has a chance to get into that rotation.
I do, because I had Trey Moore's UDFA and Llewellyn had a 7th. So, yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Hence
So,
the
but
reason
overall-
Trey Moore got an F in the 4th round, because you got a better edge rusher in the 7th.
Exactly. So let's just say Miami's not winning this division, right?
No.
In
Nope.
fact, they're losing this division.
Despite
Miami's in last
them-
place, in my opinion.
Despite them probably having, arguably, I would say a top 2 pick from this whole division.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And that would be
Again,
Jacob
the
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez pick was amazing. Everything else was less than amazing, right? So-
Correct.
and now we move on to the New York Jets, who did a Jets thing, and for the second time in like 5 seasons, had 3 first-round picks with the way they traded around. So let's start with the obvious number 1 that they had. So the second overall pick, they take David Bailey, who you and I
The right pick.
were saying, yeah, exactly, the right pick. They should have been doing this from the beginning. Everyone obviously had the Arvell Reese debate. Ended up being a great choice for them. Even if he technically was a -1 on my board, it's still an A+ pick because you actually made the pick you were supposed to make at the spot that you were at in a draft that didn't have a lot of obvious ones.
It's interesting you went that route, because when I say you make the pick you're supposed to pick, the ceiling's an A. Because A+ means you got to get value with the pick, and then S just means you freaking galaxy.
Yeah, I guess I may have been putting this in the context of the Jets usually screw up.
Maybe.
So they didn't screw up, and so maybe I gave them a little bit of a bump because of that. All right, so the
does
next
that make
pick they
sense
had,
though? Like if you
I
just
get that.
do what you're supposed to do, that's an A. You got to get
Right.
something extra to get to the
Well,
plus,
look.
and the S is just rare.
if I'm doing this, if you actually asked me like how you'd set up grading, if you did what you're supposed to do for me, that's a B. For me, if I was actually grading this like I'd want to grade this, everybody would be thinking I was insane because, and again, let's not forget, if you look at the grading scale, C is supposed to be average. If you look at how people grade things in the NFL draft world, everybody's above average. The worst grade you get might be
don't
a C.
disagree.
And I think that's wrong, personally.
I
And
agree with you.
I don't understand how all of the picks can be above average picks all the time. But that's the rant for another day. The next pick they made at 16 was Kenyon Sadiq, which I gave it a B+. He was drafted well ahead of where I would have had him. I had him at like 30 overall, 31 overall.
Okay.
But
So I
still
got
a
to
good
chime
pick.
in I got to chime in when we're different. I mean, granted,
Mhm.
this was a down year for the draft, so don't let my board skew it too much. But
Right.
I had him as the 13th overall player, so I gave it
Mhm.
was a +3 value. I gave it an A plus because they got
Sure.
value and a little bit of value with what they did.
Right. Yeah. And again, the other reason why I didn't put it as high personally is because now they have, I guess it's good that they have two tight ends they can rely on, but they already had Taylor.
Did
So
you
I
hear the
didn't
theory on
think
that?
Sadiq was a need, that they're going to run a lot of 12 out there. Or they're going to run
No,
Sadiq in some different spots or.
I was just reading a piece where, and I forget who had written it, if it's trustworthy or not, but it was just interesting because you
It's an
never know if
opinion.
it's true or
You're
not.
good. Yeah.
But it was basically that the whole league took notice of how much success the Rams are having with like their
Mm-hmm.
sets where they're running
They're
multiple
13
tight
and
ends
yeah.
out there
Mm-hmm.
and the personnel. So the article is basically saying, hey, everyone saw that. It's a copycat league.
Right.
Everyone's going to go try to have 2 to 3 like
Which
good
is
tight ends.
right. Well, which is the funny part because we saw and we've joked about this before, a hilarious run on tight ends in this draft. And the thing
Yep.
about having 2 to
Yep.
3 good tight ends is there weren't that many good tight ends in this draft.
Nope.
So
Nope.
it's going to be interesting to see how teams look at it because they're going to, why aren't we like the Rams? It's because you got tight ends, but not good ones. No offense to
But
all the
this
guys
one's
out there.
this one's
Congratulations, everybody got drafted. This is a good
intriguing
one.
though. The one thing
Yeah.
I do wanted to say though, and
Mhm.
it's kind of irrelevant, but I got to do it. I don't know why.
Sure.
While he was the 13th overall player on my board and the number one
Mhm.
tight end in this class, he is nowhere near Colston Loveland or Tyler
No.
Warren. Not even sniffing that. Right.
No,
For as
he's
far as how I would rate them as prospects, he's
right.
nowhere near a Brock Bowers. He's nowhere.
No.
I guess he's probably damn. I'm trying to
He's
think of
fast
where
Harold Fannin to me.
I would have had him like in the same category, ironically, because this player ended up is
Mhm.
really good. So this is me admitting that I didn't have him as high. He overachieved
Sure.
based on my board. I liked him a
Mhm.
lot, not as good as, but I guess I would have had a similar thing on like Trey McBride. Trey
Okay.
McBride and Kenyon Sadiq would have had similar grades for me. It's just Trey
True.
McBride was down a lot lower because this class was
Mhm.
better. But sorry,
Right.
tangent.
Well, but again, to wrap up the Sadiq thing, like I look at him as fast Harold Fannin. He's almost got the same body type. Not that we like to comp guys all the time because every player is an individual and you cannot understand the
super
mental
strong.
makeup of a guy. But physically, like he does have the 10-inch hands. You got to appreciate that. And he's fast. There's no doubt about that. They will find a way to use him if they have any competency whatsoever in their coaching staff. Next pick, they moved up just a bit to get Omar Cooper Jr. And this is one of those move ups that I'm like, I kind of get it. Only because the Bills were right there. There's a decent chance that somebody would have snuck up and grabbed him at 31 or whatever. The Bills may have stayed at 31 and grabbed him. So Omar Cooper Jr. for basically a 5th round pick. Not bad, especially if you didn't think he was going to be there at 33. And he was a little bit of an undervalue for me because I didn't like him as much as everybody else. But I still gave that pick a B+.
He's +4. Here, let me just
So you
get
gave him an
this
A
out of the way.
as well. Yeah,
The Jets had 8 picks, right, Dan?
sure. Mm-hmm.
6 of them were A's, and half of
Okay.
those 6 were A pluses. So they had 3
All right.
A's and 3 A pluses for me.
Right, and that's where I want to point out. Like, I only have 2 A's in this group, but I also only have one that's below a B, and
So this
and
might,
that's
this
because
might
of
be
where
the
my
first
board's at.
division where we're different.
Right,
in
but
the
I
league.
also want to point out I like all of the picks. The Jets made, including the one that I have a C on. I liked all of the picks that the Jets made, which is something I don't think I've ever said about the Jets. To wrap up
I like
the rest
I
of
like
them,
all
though,
of them but one, and I do agree. I have a C on one player that I still like.
right. So D'Angelo Pons was the pick in the 2nd round. Again, feisty corner who's basically Aaron Glenn reincarnated. So obviously he was going to be a Jet.
Love it.
Great pick for them. Darrell Jackson Jr. I gave
That's
that one
my
a B.
C.
He was a,
That's
no,
the
I gave
C
it a
that
B.
I actually like.
Sure. He was about where I thought he was going to be, so that's why I gave him the B for that. Cade
He's
Klubnik, they
-29
traded.
for me.
Yeah, -5 for me. Klubnik went about where I thought he was going to go after everything is said
What is
and done,
value?
and it's a great, yeah. Well, again, he was about the same spot, and they did trade up to get him, so maybe that's why I dinged it a little bit, but it's a B+ for me because he's going to be a shoot your shot kind of guy. Geno could be the guy for you, but it wouldn't surprise me if Klubnik gets on the field for a little bit this
But
season. They see what they've got with him.
even if he doesn't, Dan, I want to go back to what I was talking about when
Mhm.
the Patriots took Morin. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're on to day 3 here. Like even
Right.
if Cade is just a backup quarterback, as he probably should be, there's
Mhm.
still some damn value in that. And you're on day 3,
Yeah.
and if you're getting a
Yeah.
backup quarterback on day 3 where you got a value on him, I had him as a +30. So
Yeah, it's interesting. You actually had Cade up higher than I did, so it's kind of funny. And the last two picks they had, there you go, 6 and 7. Honest Cooper is actually the one that I had a little bit lower on the grade standpoint, but I still like him.
At a D.
I still think that's a great value pick for them in the 6th round. Yeah, I gave it a C minus. I think that he's a serviceable guy who can be a part of their rotation at some point. I just also didn't think the interior was as big of a need. And then VJ Payne was a great pick for them in the 7th round at safety. I think that he was a guy who went a little bit. He's probably about where I thought he was going to go as a 7th rounder, but I still thought that was a great pickup for them because it gives them another body in their secondary. So overall, this was a very good draft for the Jets. The question is, was it better than Buffalo's draft or not? And this is where I was making that conversation because the Jets had 3 first-round picks. So you're going to give overall, so 1 through 4 for me. I'm going to have to go Buffalo, Jets, Patriots, and the Dolphins way down at 4.
Okay, so I do have the Dolphins at 4. That's a no-brainer. It's sad. It feels dirty because they got my boy Jacob Rodriguez, and I'm putting him in the basement.
Yeah, that's all they did, though.
Here we are. Well, I like Chris Bell quite a bit.
Yeah,
where they got him.
Right. Could be
great.
I
do have the Patriots at 3 because they crushed the first 2 and then shit the bed. Yeah. But I have the Jets at 1 and the Bills at 2, and that hurts because I love the way the Bills played the draft. They got the 2 S picks.
But that's the debate.
But hold on now. Here's the thing, because I want to have the debate because I could be persuaded to go the Bills or Jets, but I also want to point this out. I personally think both the Bills and the Jets draft classes are better than the Browns and the Colts. So we got the top 2 so far, in my opinion. But here's the debate. So the Bills, I gave 2 S's and 4 A's. So on the surface, that's better than 6 A's.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, the only reason, now here's the debate. So the grades are better for the Bills, but the grades are better for the Bills because of the way they work the draft. Because the Bills have 2 follow me on this and tell me what you think I should do. So the Bills got 2 second-round graded players for me, 1 third, and 5 4s. So 2 2s, 1 3, 5 4s, right?
Okay.
But the Jets got a first-round grade, 3 second-round grades, and 2 fourth-round grades. So, like, having the first-round grade and 3 second-round grades, I'm stuck. Like, I think as a whole, the Jets got better players that are going to make the team better today. But the Bills just worked the draft beautifully.
Like,
I think the Bills had the better draft plan. I know, but
where it is.
But they worked it beautifully though, because they, like you said, they didn't give up shit for Omar Cooper. They didn't.
Right.
And they kind of worked it this way. Like they're turning sauce into all this. It's tough.
It's very tough. And again, I think everybody out there has the Jets having a better draft. And part of that is because they had 3 first-round picks and they got players people liked, and it's going to help the team right away. Now, where it's fun, I think that this is one of those things we're going to revisit in 4 years, and we're going to talk about how much better Buffalo's draft was because the Jets won't be able to afford all those guys. Yeah.
Maybe not, but
no, I understand.
I still have to factor in that they went and acquired these picks the same way the Bills moved back and acquired their picks. But I don't know. I still lean Jets, even though the Bills have better grades. I'm
allow
stuck.
it.
I just know they're the top 2.
Right. Yeah, I'll allow it, and we'll come back and see if we need to debate again. But I still want to point this out. So timestamp May 9 of 2026, 3 or 4 years from now, when the Jets can't afford the 3 first-round picks that they kept because of their cap sheet and they need to trade one of them and hope that they get it right again, that's where it'll be funny for me. We'll see. Before we jump out west, let's do a little beverage break. And again, I'm drinking a bunch of B vitamins, so we're not talking about this guy right now. But I did get to have a very fun little sipper last night when I was hanging out around a feral raccoon. Have you had the Legent Bourbon Yamazaki Cask?
I want to say no, but when I was hanging out with your previous roommate, he gave me some weird stuff.
No, that was a Yamazaki straight, just a Yamazaki 18.
Then
so this is Legend, which is a bourbon, right? It is the Yamazaki Cask Finish blend, and this is a bottle that goes for about $200, right? And these are not the bottles that I buy personally. These are the ones that I sip when friends, share them. And this is Kentucky Straight Bourbon, partially finished in wine, sherry, and ex-Yamazaki casks. So it's a Yamazaki being a Japanese whiskey. So you have a whiskey finished or a bourbon finished in sherry, wine, and whiskey cask, and Yamazaki whiskey cask. And it was tasty. I don't know that it was $200 tasty personally, but it was very good. It had a lot of layers to it, a lot of dynamism in there, and that's such a huge factor in a bourbon, right? In everything, let's be honest, a beer, a wine, everything. You want complexity. Sure, it's nice to have a sipper, and this was the other one. I can't remember the name of the other one that he gave me. I'll try to talk about that next time. But it's nice to have a sipper that you can just pour and not really think about too much. But it's so much more fun when there's something that is actively challenging your taste buds in a good way, right? And this one was in that category. I don't know that it's a crazy thing that I would recommend you, for example, go out and buy as a bottle that you have to have or something like that. But if you get a chance to taste it, I think I'd love to get your perspective on it, because as we know from everything we've done here, my palate with bourbon, I might be able to do wine really well. I can even pick out a bunch of flavors in beer. I'm not there yet with bourbon where I can pick out the kind of notes that you can, dude. But again, it was good. It was very good, but I don't think it was quite at his price point.
So instead of talking about what I was sipping, I want
you to tell a story.
Oh, you want me to do the story?
I mean, go ahead, do what you're gonna do.
I'll tell it. Okay, we'll do I'll make them kind of quick. But okay. I was gonna play the game that I texted you about last night and make you do it live. So let me explain it while you think about it. So I was watching a bourbon YouTube channel. It's a guy, 2020, he was like the world's top whiskey taster, right?
Right.
But he did a little, I don't know what you call him, a show, a podcast, a YouTube channel show. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a show. Sure. Some people call those podcasts too, video podcasts.
There you go. And what he did was the best 4 bottles you can buy for a total of $200. Okay. So it piqued my interest. I texted you this last night. So just to give you another second or two to think about it, here's what I would do, what I said I would do. And mine were completely different. All 4 were different from his. We had some of the same distillery, I guess. But number one, well, I'll start at the bottom. So the cheap one, to save myself some money, I got a $25 bottle of Old Forester 100. Just a good old, smooth, sweet, 100 proof that you can do anything you want with. You can sip it straight. You can use it as a mixer, do whatever. Okay. Then 3. So my next cheapest one, I did Wild Turkey Rare Breed coming in at $50. I personally think that is the best value. That was the first one I chose because I know to me it's the best value in the whole whiskey game.
Sure.
That bottle drinks like $100 bottle and it's only $50. That's guaranteed in mine. Number 2, another guaranteed in mine, just because I wanted to get a rye in here. And here's the thing. I've said on the show, I think many, many times, I think I've said this. Unfortunately, I don't care for Jack Daniel's bourbon.
Right.
Also, they have the best damn rye in the world to me. So the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye at $55 is a rye that sips damn near at $100 too. So I took that for $55. And then I was like, I only have $70 left. And then it hit me just boom. Last week, I bought a bottle of E.H. Taylor single barrel for exactly $70, and that brings me to exactly $200. And I was like, an E.H. Taylor barrel proof is my favorite. There's no way you're getting it in here. If you do that, that's basically your only bottle.
Well,
you know what I mean? And you got to do 4.
Right.
So, dude, it worked out beautifully. I understand that finding E.H. Taylor single barrel at 70 is also challenging, but I just did it last week, so because it was only
doable.
It's doable. So boom, that's exactly 200. Well, I absolutely love my list.
Right, and that's the thing we want to factor in when you're talking about this is that it is something that you can buy for that number, even if it isn't maybe the easiest to buy. Maybe it's not what you normally see it for on the secondary markets, which isn't right anyways. It's something you can hypothetically buy. I will say this. We will both have Rare Breed in ours because it's just
the best value.
Right?
Yep.
I'm going to say I'm going to stick a little closer to a bunch of $50 bottles rather than trying to bounce and
450s.
game
Okay.
all of that, somewhere in that ballpark, because I actually like the Michter's rye that I've got.
Okay.
So that one I would put in as the rye, just because it's in that same price point as well, about $47, somewhere roughly right around there.
So Dan likes the sweeter ryes. JP likes the peppery ryes.
Well, I like all the ryes, man. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes I'm trying to find one that's peppery, that's the price tag, right? That I can fit into this. And I didn't want to copy all of yours because that's just rude, right? So, man, I think I have to have. Let me check the price points on them because I don't remember.
Tell me.
What
I
they
can tell
usually
you probably.
go for. Well, I gotta have, because I just got this weird, just thing for the smoke wagons. The Vegas distillery, right? So I feel like I have to have a smoke wagon in there, and I think I'd go with like their I can't afford the two like uncuts that they've got, but I think they've got like a small batch that would fit into that price tag.
I think it's like 50. I think it's 45 or 50.
Right, yeah. So I think it's right in that ballpark. It might be a little bit. It's in that window. I think you can find their small batch. Total Wine has it for. Come on now, Page is trying to load. They got it for 55. So I think it'll still kind of balance out right around the 200 number. And then, oh man, what's the other one going to be? I feel like, hang on. And dude, we're doing this live. So
I know, I wanted to put you on the spot.
I'm going to see if I can fit this guy in. No, I don't think I can. I think it might be too expensive. How much is the Origin, like the bonded or any of those bottles?
The bonded is 60. The small batch is 45, 50. So you could go the.
Well, there we go. I'll go the small batch.
That was the one that I was going to highlight once you were done. I texted you that. I was super sad that New Holland, I didn't get anything in there from New Holland. So I was like, we need to replay this game and do a 6-pack of bottles for $300.
Well, I would tell you this. I would do one of the New Hollands, whether it be the Walleye Run or the Origin. One of those two would go in there to give me some love for my home state. But yeah, I'd say dude, it's funny. With the bourbon thing and the last two drafts, you have the centerpiece, right? You've got the Colonel in there as the headliner. I might have better, a better mid-range game, but you've got
one of our mid-range is the same. So
true, right? But that's where it gets fun, right? So and that's the great debate, and that's the fun part about bourbon, because it is all over the place with how much you could hypothetically get for something there. All right, let's jump into the West.
Oh, did you want me to do a super quick story, or do you want me to save that for the next show?
I think we'll save story for the next show. So a little reminder for anybody: jump to the beverage break in the next show if you want to hear just JP's story of ridiculousness in the bourbon world. All right, go ahead and give us a little story on Vegas.
I can't. That whole time you were talking, I didn't change any of my filters, so you're gonna have to bear with me here. I gotta select the 4 teams out west.
Dude, Vegas gave me. I'm just my little quick take on Vegas is they had like a Jekyll and Hyde draft for me. Loved some of their picks, didn't like a bunch of their other picks.
Well, here's the thing. Back to my exact same logic. The number 1 overall pick, despite it being -4 on my board, that's Mendoza was who they were supposed to take. Right. So that's an A. You did what you're supposed to do. Based on the weird work. I do agree with you, though, just to pour salt on the wound, that the age, in theory, this grading scale's off. But this is the one everybody uses, so we're forced into using it.
Look, Mendoza was great. I think he's going to be a great kid. I'm very curious to see how someone with his disposition does in the city of Vegas, so hopefully he keeps it clean. But yeah.
Treydon Stukes, I gave it a C+. I'm sorry. While I really, really like the player, he's going to be 25 years old on draft day, and I just don't think he fits their compete timeline. Now, maybe they do. Maybe they can completely turn this thing around. They did very well in free agency. They still ended up with Max Crosby because the Ravens are shady, so hopefully he's healthy. Maybe they do overs. I think they're going to end up with like a 500 record this year, though. Somewhere
There's
in that
a good chance for
that.
that.
You can't have 500 anymore.
No.
Only plays 9 and 8.
Right, 9 and 8 or 8 and 9. That's going to be tough for them to do in this division. So that's the other part they got to figure out.
Keyron Crawford, man, there's a lot of people absolutely love this guy. I had him super high. I had it as a -101. That was an F. Trey Zune, the third. had -41. I gave it an F. I mean, we're
I
here.
like Trezun, but
Yeah, but you're on day
I don't
2
like him
and
that
missing
much.
it by a full round. Basically, if you're on day
Mhm.
1 and day 2 and you miss by more than 32, because
Mhm.
that tells me in theory he wasn't going to make it back to you,
Mhm.
that's an F. But
Right.
here we go. Jermod McCoy, the team that finally pulled the trigger, plus 68.
Mhm.
That's an S pick. I don't care if
With
he
a
doesn't even work out. I don't care if he never
right.
even plays football. With the talent that he has,
Mhm.
it was worth the shot.
Yeah,
But I
and all
think
you
the
lost was a
realistic
7th?
thing is even if he's just a one contract player because the knees can't hold up over
Mhm.
time, if you get Jermod McCoy for 3 or 4 years and you spent a 4th round pick on him and he
Right.
plays like the number 2 cornerback in this class, maybe number 1.
Mhm.
Jeez, oh Pete, I don't need to finish. All right, then they take a player who I like quite a bit, and in today's world, I actually still like it. It's Mike Washington
Mhm.
Jr. Sure, I wish he would have gone somewhere where he could have had a shot to maybe be a guy because I'm super intrigued. But I
Right.
tell you what, the fact that he could have only maybe been a guy, this is beautiful
Mhm.
because Gene T and Mike Washington Jr. just probably became one of
Oh,
my
great
favorite running
compliment.
back tandems in the
Mhm.
entire NFL. I gave that an A. Don't care.
Well, and I personally think that those 2 could play at the same time if you wanted to. You could put them both in the backfield
Yes,
and figure some stuff out with them.
100%. Dalton Johnson from Arizona. He was a guy that I was getting super interested in as of
Mhm.
like a little late in the game. He's a hell of a tackler for a safety. I
Sure.
gave it a C, but going back and watching it and thinking about it a little more, that's probably more of a B minus range for me
No,
because I
okay.
had a 6th round grade on him. I think I probably would, if I could go back and redo it, I probably would have had a 5th round grade on him.
Mhm.
But either way, don't mind that pick. Hezekiah
He was a
Massis.
whiff for me, but
Oh,
I didn't
really?
like him as
Well,
much as you did, yep.
only just because he's a stud tackling
Mhm.
safety. I don't know that he's
Oh,
gonna
and
bring
in
a ton
5th
more than
round,
that,
sure.
but yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Hezekiah Masses, absolutely love that pick. I gave it an A
Great
plus.
pick.
That's a plus
Mhm.
83 on my board. He had
Okay,
a
even more
fourth
than
round
me.
grade on him, so
Mhm.
absolutely love it. Then they turn around. They got the only UDFA pick that they did. They took Malik Benson from Oregon. I gave
Now
it a
see, I
D.
had
It's a
6th
sixth
round on
round.
him.
Did you? Oh wow.
Borderline 5th, 6th round.
I didn't even have him in my 12 pack of top 12
Okay.
UDFAs. So I don't know.
So
You,
you
I
just a
definitely had
hater.
more. I guess
You got a
so.
fast 6-foot wide receiver. Come on now.
Yep. Yep. That's
Baby
like the
hands.
Raiders.
Baby
Take the
hands.
fast guys.
I will
Yep.
say that. Baby hands.
Then the last two, or last one. Sorry, last one. Got Brandon Cleveland here. I had a 7th round grade on him as a D lineman
Yeah, I
at
like
North
that.
Carolina
That was
State.
fine.
I gave it a B minus. It was a plus
Same.
28. Like it is what it is. So as a
Mhm.
whole, um, I don't mind their draft class at all. But they're not winning this thing for the AFC. I'll just tell you that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, this division is going to be interesting to see how it all parses out because you go out to the Chargers. The Chargers did a lot of kind of maneuvering around when you look at what they did on the draft board. I mean, it just they didn't have a ton of picks first off, right? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing as long as you hit on the picks that you've got. And I don't really feel like they did overall hit on the picks that they've got because their first pick they took Akeem Mesidor, who is, and again for a team that is ready to go, which the Chargers believe they are contending in that division, even though they've got both Kansas City and Denver in there. I get the desire to take a player who's ready to go out of the box, but we both had him. Where do you have him? I had him at 69. I think he was
Which
somewhere
one
in the
you at?
60s for you as well. Akeem Mesidor. Like I think
I
he was
had
close
Akeem
to that for you
Mesidor
too.
as 73. So
Right.
yeah,
So we had
I
them
had
both
it
in the
as
same spot.
a negative 51,
Right. He's the guy. He
which
and
is an
obviously
F.
his teammate. I gave him a C plus for it because I think we knew that Mesidor was going to go
He's a
earlier than
one
we thought he
contract
should.
guy.
No, again, he is. He's going to be a 1.5 contract guy. I think
Yeah, true.
he's gonna get this contract, and he's gonna get a 3-year contract that's really a 2-year contract after
Yep.
this, and that'll be about it. And then he might sign a bunch of 1-year deals. But again, he's got a lot of energy. They needed help on the edge, even if he doesn't quite fit their physical profile that they've gone for in the past. They'll find a way to use him. It's not great, but it's a help right now for them. Good for them for that. And then they grabbed Jake Slaughter next, which is an interesting pickup considering Slaughter's mostly been a center, and they already bought a center in free agency. But to do that, they also grabbed a 4th and a 6th round pick to move back 8 spots so the Patriots
hmm
could go get Gabe Backus. So that's a trade that worked out. I think for
That
both
worked for
teams.
both teams too.
Exactly. And you always like when that happens, right? Now,
Hmm.
they also made a trade later on in the third round. They gave up their third round pick to the Browns, who took Austin Barber ahead of where we thought they should have taken him. And they picked up a fourth and a sixth to go back into to drop back to the fourth. So the Chargers did a lot of maneuvering. In fact, they gave up a fourth and a sixth to come up 6 picks to get Travis Burke next in the fourth round. When they started moving around, they got Brendan
I like
Thompson in
that
there as well.
shot.
There's a lot of movement that they did. That was their best move and best pick, in my opinion, was moving up the couple spots to get Travis Burke. He would have been an A plus had he been. He actually was literally my 117th player on the board. So the fact that he went at 117 is kind of crazy.
And at 132.
Yeah, well, there you go. So in that case, you liked him even better. But the fact they had to move up to get him is why it was only an A. Brendan Thompson, I gave that an F. I don't think he's necessarily an F player in the fourth round.
You know what's funny is I've not been a fan of Thompson at all. I put a fourth round grade on him. Thought he was going to go infinitely higher, and he didn't. So he was actually +4. I had to give it a B.
Well, I gave it an F because I think he's going to get sandwiched and destroyed. So they better show him where in and out is.
He's a specialist.
He's a specialist. He's incredibly fast, right? But if he gets touched, I think he's going to go flying in the NFL.
Probably.
So I'm concerned. Again, teach him where In-N-Out Burger, teach him the animal menu. Maybe he can go from 164 up to 180, and I'll feel a little better about that if he stocks some muscle on. Genesis Smith, didn't mind this pick in the fourth round. I think that he's pretty solid safety, all things considered. He went about where I thought he was going to be. He was a B- for me. Nick Barrett, I like Nick Barrett, the player. I just had Nick Barrett as more like a 7th rounder than a 5th rounder.
I had him in UDFA. The rest of their draft was UDFA for me.
Right. And Logan Taylor, actually, I had him about where I had him in the 6th round. You know, about
he was
going.
in my top 12 pack of UDFAs.
Sure. So to make, again, they didn't have a ton of picks, right? They had, I say they didn't have a ton. They had 7 picks. They ended up picking a first, a second, 2 fourths, or 3 fourths, a 5th, and a 6th. But they didn't get value out of
Did you mention
any
Harkey?
of their picks, really, out of one. What was that?
Did you mention Harkey? Did I forget that one? Their other 6th round pick?
Yeah, I don't. For some reason, I have Harkey on here.
Yeah,
so
206, 4 picks after Logan Taylor. They took Alex Harkey from Oregon, which is an older guard. I gave it I had a UDFA on him, so I gave it a D, but I don't mind that at all.
Well, no, and again, this is a team that clearly needed interior O-line help. We notice again, they think if their guards are healthy, their tackles are healthy, they've got 2 best tackles in the game. You know, with Slater and Alt, right? If those guys are both healthy, but their interior
unless Blake Miller turns into a beast.
Well, fair. All right, then Detroit might have him, right? But this year, as of right now, right? And so what they have now is a pile of maybes, right? Between Logan Taylor and Alex Harkey and Trevor Penning and Jake Slaughter and Biadasz and Owosika. They have so many maybes.
I like
Ben
Biadasz.
Cleveland in there. Yeah, and again, they actually did address an area of need. We just don't know how well they addressed it yet. And the fact they're having Jake Slaughter play out of position right off the bat is going to be interesting for them. Overall, this is not a draft.
He's big enough too.
He is big enough too. He's bigger than some of the other centers that were out there. But this is not a good enough draft to win the AFC. I don't know where it's going to slot in the West, but I don't think it's going to win the West either, because I still think the Raiders did a little better than they did.
Well, I think the West, man, off the top of my head, might have done the worst out of any division in the AFC. This is a rough one.
Why don't you tell me what the Broncos did and how that slots in?
I don't know that the Broncos even came to the draft. I think they had they had someone else. They had someone else like do this thing, and then they showed up for the last pick and nailed it.
Right.
That's basically how I feel. But all right, here we go. So yeah, they got Waddle. They moved some top picks to get Waddle.
A reminder.
I'm dinging him for that too because I don't trust his health.
Yeah, they gave up 30 and a third and swapped fourths to get Jalen Waddle, which is steeper than you and I both thought should have been.
There were wide receivers available at 30 that I like better than Waddle. I would trade Waddle for them straight up to Denzel Boston.
I have to think that they didn't believe Boston or Cooper would be there at 30, and that's why they made that move. That's the only thing I can come up with.
I would take Cooper over him. Hell, I might even take Jeremy Bernard and Skylar Bell. Yeah, I probably would. I don't trust Waddle's health. I just don't. He's a good player. He is.
I'm praying Waddle stays healthy so my fantasy team isn't screwed.
But to not trust his health and have him be a vet, who you're going to have to pay, that cost him. That cost him. I'll just say it now. They came in 4th place in this division. So here we go, because I already butchered that. But
There
then
you go.
your first pick of the day, your first damn pick of the day comes in the third round, and you take a guy that I got a 7th round grade on,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even say his name. I don't know how to
Oh,
say
need him,
it.
yeah.
Like I had a 7th round grade on him. You took him in the third. That's an F.
Oh, that's an F. Easily.
You take Jonah Coleman. I will give you credit for that. He was
Right.
my
That was a
number
good
2
one.
running back in this class. I gave it an A. That's a plus
Yeah,
11. Loved it. Okay, Cage Casey was a guy once upon a time I would have given this a really good grade, but man, he just struggled as the season went on. But I gave it a C. Got a 5th round grade on him. He got him in the 4th. Justin Jolly, I actually like the shot here. I mean, you're in the 4th round. Or the 5th round. I had a 4th round grade on him. You moved up to get him, but he was a plus 51. So I actually really, they still came in 4th, but like Coleman and Jolly, and then we all know Red Murdoch. I like those 3.
And Jolly is the guy that people think, ooh, he can be Sean Payton's Joker running around. And there is some credence to that. I do think that his body type and how he plays is potentially a really good fit for Denver.
Next pick in the 7th round. All the rest are 7th round. You got Miles Scott ahead of UDFA on.
Nice flyer.
Safety from Illinois. Gave it a C because I don't mind him. He was somewhere close to that 12 mark, if I remember correctly. Same with the next guy. I didn't like him as much as the whole world, but he was in that little 12-pack ish. But as Dallin Bentley, I don't understand why you double dipped on tight ends, and he's almost 26 years old.
Right.
So I gave it a C, but I'm still super confused. It might have been generous, but I don't know how you get an S pick in the 7th round, but they did.
Totally redeemed themselves.
They got Red friggin' Murdoch. The best player they drafted was the last pick.
And he is buried on their depth chart right now, by the way. He is 3rd string according to, I think, Fantasy Points is where I'm going to right now because our lads annoys me with all their ads. But he's 3rd string according to them when it comes to their...
plus 207.
Exactly. Such a great pick. Whoever was going to take him in the 7th round was going to make such a great pick, and they did. And I will be laughing years from now when everyone's like, how did Red Murdoch last to the last pick? He is going to be in the same breath as Brock Purdy for Mr. Irrelevance that no longer are irrelevant in the NFL. That's what I've decided.
Purdy, Puka, Murdoch.
So, right, exactly. Well, Puka wasn't the last pick. He was just
I know he wasn't, but he's way late.
Yeah, he was. He was very late. 5th round or whatever he was,
Tom Brady.
Still annoyed. I will say this every time we bring up Puka's name. Still annoyed that I dropped him right before Cooper Kupp got hurt in our fantasy league.
So I could pick him up immediately and spend my entire fab budget.
Yeah, that was a whiff all over the place. Yeah, and you wonder why I haven't won our league in a decade. There you go. All right, so anything else for Denver though? Overall, not great, but yay, Red Murdoch. So basically,
they're 4th in this division.
So today we have 2 teams. Yeah, we have 2 teams that finished 4th and made 2 of your favorite picks in the draft.
Yep.
The irony, the ridiculousness. And now we move on to...
Opportunities were there.
Right. Now we move on to the Kansas City Chiefs, who, again, basically they traded away their top corner and let their second corner go in free agency. So you had to believe that corner was going to be a going concern for them in the NFL draft. And it was so much of a concern that they decided to trade up to grab the number 1 corner in the draft, Mansour Delane. So I get it because... Oh, man, here's the thing. I gave him an A- because they got a position of need, and they got him where I had him listed. I had him as the 6th best player in this draft. I know you didn't have him that high, so I'm sure you didn't give him as good of a grade. Right.
What do you think I graded him?
You gave him a B-?
I gave him a C+, dude.
Awkward.
Well, Mansour Delane, while he's a top cornerback in this class, he is nowhere near your top, elite. Right. He's not a Pat Surtain. He's not a Sauce. He's not any of that. You know what I mean? But to give up
they gave up a third and
a 5, come on.
Yeah. No, that is it's a lot to move up to grab a guy and
factor in who they could have taken there.
Well, right. I mean, there's plenty.
They could have taken Sonny Styles, dude.
Right. No, yeah. No, understandable. 100%. They put themselves like we talked about the Lions putting themselves in a position where they had to take a tackle early. The Chiefs put themselves in a position because we've talked about this. We talked about this when they traded him away. That the Chiefs don't believe in paying corners for more than their rookie contracts. They just don't. They did it with Snead. They did it with McDuffie.
Which I don't necessarily disagree with that because I always argue that cornerbacks their windows. But if you move up and get the elite one, I just have a 2nd round grade on him.
Sure.
There were first-round grade players on the board still.
Right. But that's the thing. It's like we didn't think McDuffie was going to be that great. And he ended up being a solid player. So,
you can't get them all right.
Well, right. But they are banking on getting them all right here. They're banking that Mansour Delane.
And maybe they do.
Right. Well, again, they're banking that Mansour Delane and the picks that they got for for McDuffie are going to end up being better than what he would have been with his contract. And again,
I definitely like Delane more than I liked McDuffie. I'll say that.
There you go then. Yeah. And again, so they got the first rounder for him. They got a third rounder next year and then a fifth and a sixth this year that they ended up trading to the Steelers later on. So they did get a lot of draft capital for him. But again, did you maximize your draft capital? And jury's out on the first one. They got Peter Woods with the second pick in the first round, which I gave a B because
you gave it a D plus.
He was fine. Wow. Okay. Well, he was about where I had him going.
I had him as a negative 32.
Okay. Well, he was a negative 3 for
and
me.
It wasn't.
You're a hater. Because you're a hater. They do need to replace Chris Jones at some point. Peter Woods could be that guy, but that's a real big ask for a guy to replace somebody like him. So
you also have to factor into this Peter Woods thing that KC traded McDuffie, which equaled the 29th pick, but they also gave up like a 5th, 6th, and 7th. Like that.
Not for this move. Like Woods was the 29th pick. That's where they traded with the Rams or whatever for that pick. So that one wasn't wasn't extra picks in this one.
I think there was.
You're confused. No, because they got a 5th and a 6th for McDuffie.
No, they got the 5th, 6th, and 7th.
They got 5th, 6th, and a 3rd next year. I'm not sure where you're getting the 7th from, dude. This is where it gets fun trying to parse through all of the trades and all of the picks. But they got.
I'm just going off of memory.
Well, right. No, they got looking at NFL.com, they got, for McDuffie, they got a 1st this year, a 5th, a 6th this year, and a 3rd next year. And then they ended up trading the 5th and the 6th to the Steelers later on for that pick. So the 29th pick was what they got from the Rams for McDuffie in that spot because they already had the 9th pick because of how bad their season was, right? And they traded the 3rd and the 5th to go up to get Mansour Delane. But 29 was where they were picking. They picked Woods at 29, and you just had him as a round early, so to speak.
Yep.
Still not a great pick in your mind. I thought it was decent. You go on to their day 2 picks, which they had one of because of all of the trading move around that they did, and they took R. Mason Thomas. Yes, they needed edge help. Let's go back to that whole list of who you would have taken instead. Cassius Howell, Derek Moore, Zion Young, Gabe Akis. At least those guys. Denai Dennis Sutton. At least those 5 players should have been the pick ahead of R. Mason Thomas, in my opinion.
100%, dude. I could name probably 30 players I would have taken over R. Mason Thomas. That's F for me.
And again, he's an undersized guy who doesn't really fit the scheme that they use
People
unless they're
love
trying
him,
to move.
though.
Yeah, well, because he's a high energy player, which is great and everything. But man, they don't have. I don't think that Karlaftis is a good enough one for you to have him as your 2 personally. Jaden Kennedy was their next pick. They grabbed in the 4th round. I didn't really like him, and other people liked him better than I did. That was an F for me because he was 100 more than spots.
But he was a negative 59, so I gave it a D.
Right. Yeah, he was a negative 100 plus for me, so that's where he's at. The next pick was, I think, their best pick in the draft, believe it or not. Emmett Johnson in the 5th round. I had him as a 4th rounder. A lot of people were saying he'd go 2nd rounder and was going to be a steal in the 2nd round, which is insane. But him in the 5th round, I do think that's a steal. I gave it an A+. I thought that was a great pick to give them another body in the backfield when they needed that, which is why they grabbed Kenneth Walker anyways. So I thought
that was their best pick. I gave it an A, though.
Mm-hmm. Mind you, they followed it up. Yeah, they followed it up with an F, in my opinion. Now, mind you, it's hard, maybe a bit harsh in the 5th, but Cyrus Allen was not a guy that I had on my radar. He was a UDFA.
I gave it D-. He was a UDFA for me, too.
Sure. And then they grabbed Nussie at the 249th pick, which was a value.
B+. I love. Yeah. It was a value of plus 117. Sure. I just don't believe in him. I had him as a bust.
Right. Plus 49 for me, but still, sure, you needed a backup quarterback because when you look at
3 backups,
right? Because they lost their backup to Arizona, so they needed to do something at the backup spot. And when you look at the rest of they got Justin Fields there. Right, is the other guy that they've got, and Fields is just a flyer for them. So grabbing Nussie where they did made sense. So, but again, Kansas City did not have in the AFC. You're right. This was the worst division in the AFC overall for drafts. Who won this division? Did Vegas win this division?
They did
because of their mixed bag.
They won the division because they got Mendoza. They took who they should have taken, and it was their biggest need. I mean, I get it happened at one, but they also got McCoy, who could be a steal. Love the Mike Washington pick. Love Masses. They didn't like ace it by any means, but I mean,
they had a good.
I don't know, dude. The other three were just bad.
Yeah, different versions of bad. So yeah, there you go. So Vegas wins the division, but they pale in comparison.
Okay, so but I feel like we should say I had the Raiders 1, Chiefs 2, Chargers 3, Broncos 4, as I've already said.
No, I agree with that. Actually, we do line up on this one mostly because
we lined
2,
up
3,
with
and 4.
everything except for every single thing's been exactly the same except for the NFC East, hasn't it?
Well, if you mean AFC East, yeah, but except for really the debate still rages between Buffalo and the Jets, and so we'll have to kind of factor that in. So
top 4, the Mount Rushmore for the AFC, I still think Buffalo and the Jets are the top 2 in whatever order, but then next is Cleveland and Indy.
Cleveland and Indy,
the 4 best in the AFC.
Those are the 4 best in the AFC. Sorry, AFC West, we did not like what you all brought to the table this year. Indy did a great job, and really Indy and Buffalo both did a great job of maximizing the picks that they had, because neither of them had obviously Buffalo traded out of the first round, but neither of them had first round picks, but they made good picks with what they had. The Jets are the flip side of that, where they had a lot more draft capital to work with and then made some higher picks that people really liked. And then I think Cleveland's kind of caught between those two. But really the debate is going to be between Buffalo and the Jets, and can they take on anybody from the NFC? We're going to figure out next time. Anything you want to wrap up with?
No, I think we've gone long enough today. I'll just remind everybody I got my little fun story next time.
Right, yeah. You're going to hear about one of the stuff that just happens to JP because everybody loves him, especially in the bourbon world. We'll talk about that next time.